And good morning, WGBR News Talk 1150. It's time for Newsmakers on your chilly and the winter storms coming kind of Tuesday. This is Carol Bowden, your host, and so excited that you could join us today, and most especially that someone in the studio could join me. I am honored, pleased, and just downright tickled to introduce Mr. Larry Pierce, I guess you call it incoming Sheriff of Wayne County. Technically you are, but the swearing in will happen this Friday, correct?
That's right, Carol. Friday morning at 9:30, weather permitting, we will be officially sworn in.
Well, it is an honor to have you here, and Larry is, I know a lot of people associate you with Nahunta Pork Center and your dad, Mac, certainly for years with that, and your son, Brandon, is that right?
That's right. My son, Brandon's there now, helping operate the business.
So 3 generations there, but what a lot of people don't understand is that you've been law enforcement even longer than you've been Nahunta, in a sense, even though you've worked there, I'm sure, as a young man and all that, but Goldsboro Police Department?
That's right. Goldsboro Police Department in 1982. That's when I began my law enforcement career.
SBI?
That's right. SBI, Sheriff's Detective.
Arsonist Specialist?
That's right.
And you've never quit in law enforcement?
No, I've been sworn ever since 1982.
A lot of people don't realize that you've continued to do so. I spoke with Major Effler, and he had some incredibly nice things to say about you and said that you never hesitate to help them out when they've got an arson case or something that you can lend your expertise to.
Always available.
I'm certain that there's got to be mixed emotions on your part right now.
There are to some degree. Of course, we lost our beloved Sheriff, Kerry A. Wonders, and we're all still saddened about that, but we are marching forward. My family's supporting me 100% with this endeavor, and it's something I've wanted for many, many years.
That is true. I wanted to ask you this so you can tell me if this is true, that you had said many times that you wanted to run for sheriff, you wanted to be sheriff, but you would not do so as long as Kerry continued to run for sheriff. Is that true?
That is correct. We were good friends, and he was a good sheriff.
That says a lot about your friendship with him, but also about your integrity.
Well, in law enforcement, we're brothers, and we always look after each other, and that's the way I want it to always be.
I can't imagine, first and foremost, the shock that you had when you got the phone call about Kerry. But then, how soon after that were you notified that your name was going in the hat as far as the Republican Party?
Well, there was speculation almost immediately that I started hearing, but we didn't really discuss it seriously until after the funeral.
Well, that was honorable. No question, that was honorable. And from what I understand, it was a very easy decision by the Republican Party.
Yes, I was very pleased with their decision, and it was a unanimous decision on their part, and I was very pleased with that.
What are your plans? Have you had time to sit down and think about what you're going to do? And the first thing is, I guess you've just got to get acclimated.
Yes, and I have actually been working for over a week now. After the appointment, I started working immediately. We're still serving under the authority of our Major Greenfield until I'm actually sworn in Friday, but I started working immediately and becoming familiar with the inner workings of the department. Even though I'd been associated with them all the years, I still have a lot to learn on the inner workings from a day-to-day basis.
And there's a lot of departments. People don't realize that. Even though it's the sheriff's office, there are many workings within that office.
Oh, several divisions. We have the courts, we have the investigations division, the patrol division, civil division, and so all of those divisions have to work together as one.
Well, let's talk about Major Greenfield, because you talk about a heavy burden on someone's shoulder. He stepped in knowing that it was just going to be an interim time. I was so impressed by how humble, and yet I don't know how to describe it other than how beautiful it was when he stood up at Kerry's funeral and spoke. And tell us about that man.
Oh, I completely agree. He is an honorable man. He's a good leader, and we admire him at the sheriff's office, and I think the whole community in the county admire him. He has many, many years of service in law enforcement, sheriff's office, chief of police with the Cherry Hospital, and we just think he is top notch.
Well, I tell you, we haven't heard any rumblings, and I'm certain that there's always, especially when you have a major change and a shocking change, as we've had in Wayne County, but it seems to have all gone as smooth as it could possibly hope.
All the troops have lined up, and they have all participated and really worked together. I'm so impressed with the department, and that's a tribute to our late sheriff.
Well, I have to ask, are there a lot of things that you're going to take from him, having known him all these years, and implement into your style of sheriffing?
Sure. As I've told people, there's some tweaking that I'd like to do, but overall it is a top-notch department, and we have top-notch people working there.
Next big thing. Yesterday was a big day across North Carolina in terms of elections, and you certainly have said already it's always been your desire to run for and become sheriff of Wayne County. So you filed yesterday?
I did. I was actually the first person in line to file yesterday for the office of sheriff of Wayne County.
That had to be exciting.
It was. My family was there to support me and some of my friends, and we all just went up to the podium, started signing papers, and went forward.
Well, I think that's wonderful. And so you've really added a lot of work to yourself over the next few months because you're learning a new job. You're taking over one of the finest offices in Wayne County. Well, not just Wayne County, but the state of North Carolina. And you also have to campaign and prepare for that.
That's going to be the hardest part for me. I know law enforcement and I know how to manage people, but I think campaigning part is going to be the hardest. I love people and I just want them to accept me. Again, I'm trying to fill a position that was left to me, so to speak, by a big man that was big in law enforcement, and it's just an awesome responsibility, but it's an awesome honor.
It truly is an awesome honor, and I think that a lot of people are looking forward to putting that trust and faith in you and moving forwards. Let's talk about Larry Pierce, the man, the family man. Tell us about your family and what you like to do when you're not doing all the many other things you do.
Well, I have my wife Rita of 34 years and son Brandon. He's 29 years old. A daughter that's 24 years old, Lauren, and they all are supporting me in this endeavor. My mother is extremely excited. She knows I've wanted this for many, many years. Said since I was 6 years old, I've been talking about it. So they are all supporting me in this. I love the fire service. I've been a firefighter for right at 40 years now. This will be my 40th year as a volunteer firefighter. I'm deputy fire chief of the Belfast Fire Department. I love to teach for the college. I love my church. We attend the Bridge Church out near Princeton, and we participate in a lot of activities out there. So I have a full schedule, but I love doing it all.
I was just getting ready to say, perhaps I should retract what you do when you're not. You're always doing something. A fireman for 40 years.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of law enforcement personnel do both.
Yes.
Kind of goes hand in hand.
Love emergency services, love helping people.
And you really can remember back being a little boy, this is all you've ever wanted to do.
Yes, I got my first police uniform at 6 years old, and ever since then I've been sort of looking at that aspect.
Speaking of police, you've worked for the Goldsboro Police Department, and I think during this time, I always understood law enforcement, as you said, were brothers, and it doesn't matter which branch or service orientation it is, but I don't think I ever realized just how much they're tied together, and we're going to talk about that right after this break. WGBR News Time is 8:47. This is your Tuesday edition of Newsmakers, and we'll be back with soon-to-be Sheriff Larry Pierce. WGBR News Talk 1150. The time is 8:51. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning.
If you're just joining us, that's the voice of Mr. Larry Pierce, our soon-to-be sworn-in Sheriff of Wayne County, and so enjoying getting to know you this morning and sharing that with our listeners because you get ready to play a huge part in what Wayne County is all about, and doesn't come any higher as far as an official than Sheriff of Wayne County.
It is an awesome responsibility.
I'm certain that it is. Let's get back to what we were talking about just a few moments ago before we went to the break. I was talking about how I learned, especially talking to Chief Stewart and Major King with the Goldsboro Police Department when Sheriff Winters passed away, and it was very difficult for the chief because Kerry had begun his career with Goldsboro Police Department, and they'd been on foot patrol together. And I learned how these departments and offices interact far stronger than probably most people in Wayne County understand.
Oh, that's definitely a true statement. Again, we're all brothers, and if we need one another, we're right there to help each other. And I certainly want to continue the relationship between all agencies in Wayne County. We have the smaller municipalities as well as Goldsboro that we certainly would like to continue a good relationship with. Our officers are there to assist their officers if necessary, and we want to continue that throughout.
You know, you made a point that a lot of people don't think about. I just spoke with Chief Tucker the end of last week. Now, he is actually retiring this week, I believe.
I think that's correct.
So we're going to talk to someone about who's replacing him and filling those shoes. But you have to interact with each one of the municipalities.
Oh, yes. And in the absence of a coverage in a smaller municipality, our deputies will cover that area.
How many deputies and employees employees? And I may be asking you a question you just don't know yet, but do you have an idea of what the total staff is for the office?
It's approximately 210. That includes our bailiffs, our civil division, criminal investigations, officers that are on patrol, also our special deputies that are considered our reserve people that we call in as necessary. So we're looking at about 210 people right now.
Pretty big responsibility.
Yeah, yes.
What's something that you're most excited about?
Just the aspect of, I guess, fulfilling that dream that I've had for so long. Again, it's something that I know that's a tremendous responsibility, and I can pledge that our department is going to work very hard for the citizens of Wayne County. The citizens expect it, and the citizens deserve it.
The thing that you are most, I won't necessarily use the word concerned about, but maybe alert about?
Well, one thing that we're really striving for is to get as many officers in our school system. We recently received a grant that Sheriff Winters was instrumental in putting into place, and we're currently trying to get those officers hired and put into place this school year, and it will be effective next school year as well. It's a situation where we hear it in the news media all too often about our children at risk, and that is a number one priority for me.
Well, I did actually hear a story yesterday about, I believe it was Salisbury. I mean, it wasn't very far away.
Yes.
It was right here in the state where a student was shot.
There was a gunshot wound in a school yesterday.
And when you hear about that, that has to just make the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
It's unnerving. It really is, because we all know that our children are our future, and they are so precious to us, and we do anything to protect our children.
So I remember Kerry talking about that, the grant, the last day he was on here, January 15th. So just a few days before he passed away, and he was very proud of that grant and getting those officers in the schools. And if I'm not mistaken, it was going to be one Goldsboro inner city school, and then
3 deputies will be hired for the positions in the county schools.
That's fantastic. And do they have to go through a lot of training prior to that?
Well, they have to go through the regular basic law enforcement training just like anyone else. They are sworn officers, and so they have these several months of training that they go through before they're actually given that responsibility.
Now let's go back to something that you said, since we're talking about training, that you teach at Wayne Community College.
Yes, I'm a hazardous materials instructor for the college. I teach fire investigation for the college and anti-terrorism awareness.
Oh, I did not realize that. I knew about the arson. Mm-hmm. How did you get into the anti-terrorism?
Well, that just goes right along with the first responders' knowledge protecting the public. Now, since 9/11, everything is terrorist-oriented, it seems like, and so kind of look at first responders being responsible to have that knowledge.
Now, growing up, we have a pattern here. You're an arson specialist,
yes,
and you teach it, and you work on the Belfast Fire Department. So did your mom and dad have trouble with you starting fires and being fascinated with it?
Some people tease me and say I'm a pyromaniac just looking for a way to constructively exhaust my frustrations. But no, I never set a fire intentionally.
Never intentionally.
That's right.
Okay. Do you like to grill out?
Yes, I love to grill out.
So you do like to play with fire?
Yes.
When you were with the SBI, did it follow that same pattern?
Yes, I was assigned to the Southeastern District of North Carolina. I worked in Hoke County as a criminal agent, and I covered 10 counties fire agent.
That's just exciting stuff. I mean, when you go into a place that to most people would just look like something burned down and how it happened, and then you can discover clues and evidence that lets you know that it's a crime scene.
It's a real challenge, but it is so much fun.
He says that with a huge smile on his face. WGBR News Time is 8:58. In the event that you've just joined us, we are talking with Larry Pierce, who will be sworn in this Friday at 9:30, I do believe.
That's right.
Weather permitting, at Courtroom 1.
Courtroom 1.
And getting ready to fill some big shoes, but they're shoes you've always wanted to wear.
That's it.
How exciting for you.
I appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Well, we appreciate you coming in and sharing a lot about you today and letting me ask all the questions that you let me ask without hesitation. We're excited for you and your family and love the fact that they're not sitting back going, Dad, stop it.
I appreciate the family and everyone in Wayne County that has shown their support.
Love the fact that you're already involved with the department, or with the office, I should say, and all the men and women. You're learning and you got a lot to go. But Larry Pierce, soon to be Sheriff Pierce, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Carol.